Welcome back. This is Flipping PCs for Profit. And I got some ideas of what I want to do with the profit, like maybe open up a business or maybe even get into real estate by putting a down payment on a house. Now, in the previous episode of Flipping PCs, we did sell a PC, we shipped a PC, we posted 2 GPUs and actually sold one of them. And we built a new PC for under $200, and the specs on that one was an i5-8400, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and the 3050, and that one sold on Facebook Marketplace. All right, so I don't have the best lighting right now. I'm under a gas station light, but the money has been secured. Secured is crazy. Took $480 for it, and that was a profit of $296. I think 2 days ago I sold the other PC on Java. That was a profit of $333. So a pretty good couple days for me. It's probably the fastest I've ever sold a PC. I think it was up for maybe 2 days, and it's already sold. But I'm on the way home now to work on the next build, the one I paid $70 for. I'm trying to see if I should upgrade it or not. Now, actually, 2 days prior to selling that gaming PC for $480, I actually bought another gaming PC on the marketplace for only $70. All right, today is Sunday, February 2nd. I was about to say Friday. I'm actually on my way for an hour drive to pick up this gaming PC. It's a full build for $70. Now, the guy selling it says, he said something's wrong with it. He said maybe it's the graphics card. From being a computer technician for over 2.5 years now, I've learned not necessarily not listen to what the customer says, but I learned to make my own judgment. And 9 times out of 10, the customer is wrong about what the issue is or how the issue came about or whatever it is. So in this case, the graphics card could be bad, but I'm gonna buy it. I don't know exactly what I'm buying. I'm gonna figure out what's wrong with it. Maybe I can part it out, put it in a new build, flip it, whatever the case may be. Or maybe, if I'm lucky, the entire build works and he just didn't know what he was doing. So I'm on my way to pick up this $70 full gaming PC setup. The case is terrible, but you guys will see it in a few. All right, so I did just pick up the PC, and it looks like it's an MSI B450 Bazooka motherboard. I looked it up. That is an AM4 motherboard. So at the very least, I paid $70 for a DDR4 system that actually works. I talked to the guy. He said, "Oh, it works, but whatever game he was trying to play wasn't powerful enough." So it looks like it comes with a 5070 4 gigabyte graphics card. Depending on the processor, I probably am going to change the graphics card out. So I'm building a search for a new case because it does smell a little weird, and a new graphics card. And hopefully it's a decent processor. Maybe it's like a Ryzen 5 3600. Hopefully that's what I'm looking for, if not better. I wouldn't be too mad if it's a 2600 either. So on the way back, I'm going to finish up editing a different video, and I'm going to start on this one after that. Now that I have the build at home, it does come with a Ryzen 5 2600X, 32 gigabytes of RAM clocked at 2900 megahertz, 2933 megahertz, and it comes with a 450 watt power supply. So this build will consist of new and used parts, and the new parts of this build is going to be a new case, which is the DIY ARGB N1W. I'm going to add in some white PSU cables, the Okino's white PSU, and of course I got to use my patented CPU cooler from ID Cooling. They might as well sponsor me at this point. If you watch any of my videos, you know how much I use this ID Cooling CPU cooler. Next, I was able to buy this 2060 on the Facebook Marketplace. It cost me around $100, so I think that was a pretty good deal. I was looking for like a 1070, 1080, but I went ahead and got the 2060 for $100. And I'm also going to be using this 1TB M.2 as well. Now it is finally time to disassemble the original PC and build it in a new one. Okay, so the PC is basically done building it. Um, this DIY PC case is actually very good. I see these two fans here are intake, the reverse blade fans, so they intake air. This should be an exhaust. The case does have a lot of space for room, as you can see, for the power supply cables. And I do have to wrap them up in the back, make them look neat in the back. But other than that, this case was actually pretty easy to build in, and it was only like 66 bucks after tax. It is a micro case, so for ATX it won't work. But outside of that, this is one of my favorite cases. But now it's time to test to see if we get a post, which we should. Um, the only problem with this case is doesn't have all the fans are 4-pin connectors. So these three fans are 4-pin connectors, and they all should light up with RGB. But this is a 3-pin connector, and there's no connection for it. So I do have to buy a converter or an adapter for it to get it to light up and get the RGB is the same as these. But let's go ahead and see if it posts, which it should. Everything's all plugged in. There it goes. I love that green. As I said, that CPU fan is not going to have any RGB until I get that connector. Let's see if we get a post, man. Looks like it's going to post. That's a good sign. Come on, give me something. There it is. There's the post we needed. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the benchmark test in. I'm going to order this connector, and then we should be able to get this listed soon. So about a week ago, I had this PC ready for sale. Everything was done with it. All the drivers had already benchmarked it, stress tested it. Everything was done. But the only problem I had was this CPU fan did not have any RGB on it like the rest of the case did. So I went and bought an adapter for it just to see if I can get the RGB to connect with the rest of the case. I bought this RGB adapter off of Amazon, and it literally burnt out the case. Well, burnt out the LED fans. As you can see, the PC is still working, but it did have, y'all know that burning smell of just, it had that. And I was very afraid this PC was done for. As we can see, it is working, which is good. So I had to order some new fans off of Amazon, and I'm about to get that replaced. You guys want to take a look at those? So I went and got 2 pack of these C12CW-S Thermalright fans I've been seeing all over the internet at some really good fans for a cheap price. It was around 13 or 14 bucks for each box. So I'm going to be using this to replace the fans in the case. This box also came with an ARGB adapter. I might have to use in this build. I'm not sure just yet, but this costs around 10 bucks. I am finally finished with this build. It took a lot of extra time just because of the CPU fan and the adapter and all the extra trouble I had to go through. But the build cost didn't go up too much higher than what I originally thought it was going to be, around $330. Even with the new fans and the new ARGB adapter, its total price is around $356 and some change. I'll put it on the screen here. For a 2060 Ryzen 5 2600 and 32 gigabytes of RAM with a terabyte M.2, I still think that's a great price. I can be able to flip this maybe for a couple $100. I'm going to list it on Java, and I'm going to list it on Facebook Marketplace, and hopefully we get some buyers soon. So the first game I decided to test was some Apex Legends, and I was in 1080p with high settings, and this game gave me an average around 135 frames per second. Don't judge my gameplay mechanics. I haven't played Apex in almost a year and a half, almost 2 years. You're like me, I played this game like for 3 years straight from the launch. I used to love this game, but I've just grown past it now. And the next game I decided to test was a good old Fortnite. Now this was in 1080p, and it did give me around 100 frames per second on medium to low settings. Fortnite has a bunch of settings you can tweak to get more performance out of it, like going straight into performance mode. But it performed pretty well, pretty fluid, and didn't really stutter at all. There's 2060 doing this thing with Fortnite. So the next game I decided to test is actually my favorite game at the moment, and that is Marvel Rivals. Let's hope I don't overplay this one and get bored with it like I did Apex. But this game didn't perform the best. It performed around 90 frames per second. Very playable, but it was also in performance mode and pretty low quality. So Marvel Rivals, for some reason, it's a pretty hard game to run for this 2060. But it ran pretty smooth once you got on the right settings. Like I said, 90 frames per second isn't too shabby at all. And the last game I did decide to test was a AAA title game, and it is Cyberpunk. This game is always very hard to run on any graphics card for the most part. And this 2060 really surprised me. Now, I did have ray tracing off, but it is in 1080p high settings and it averaged around 55 frames per second. That's playable. That's good enough if you want to play this game in 1080p with the 2060.